Individuality and Interconnectedness in Paper Towns. In the novel Paper Towns, written by John Green, there are three symbols that help to develop this idea of people being very separate through individuality, through to being completely interconnected. Green uses the three symbols, the strings, the grass, and the vessel, to help us understand different perspectives of life and humanity. The first symbol we're going to look at is the strings. This symbolises individuality. The idea behind the symbol of the strings is that when a person's strings have all broken, they fall apart, their world collapses, and they can't do anything to make themselves better. At the beginning of the novel, Margaret says about Robert Joyner, "Maybe all the strings inside him broke." Margot seems to see life from a very individualistic perspective. She has this idea that everyone is held together by strings, and once those strings are all broken, there's nothing holding you there anymore. Margot uses this to explain why Robert Joyner committed suicide, because he had nothing left in his life to live for. His strings, family, work, marriage, etc., were all broken. Another side of the symbol is shown when the detective, who interviews Q about Margot, describes Margot as being like a balloon whose string has been cut. In Chapter 6, Margot also implies that her strings are all broken when she says, "It was a lame string for sure, but it was the one I had left, and every paper girl needs at least one string, right?" So there's this idea that because she has nothing tying her down at home, she's just floated away. This symbol shows people as all being very separate from each other, and once a person's string has broken, there's no saving them. The second symbol of the novel is the grass. This symbolises interconnectedness. This symbol comes from Q attempting to understand Walt Whitman's poem, Song of Myself, but it takes on a slightly different meaning from the original poem. The grass represents how people are each their own blade of grass, but have a vast root system under the surface through their connectedness with others. The quote, "We are all connected to one another by a crazy root system like leaves of grass," explains one way of looking at life, that we are all, in fact, connected, like the root system that connects and helps grass to grow. If we look at this full quote, we can gain a slightly deeper meaning. We can hear others, and we can travel to them without moving. And we can imagine them, and we are all connected one to the other by a crazy root system, like so many leaves of grass. But the game makes me wonder whether we can really ever fully become another. From this quote, we can also look at the deeper meaning of what leaves of grass means. The term grass was often used in Whitman's day to denote works of minor literature, and Whitman uses the words leaves to describe the pages of his book. So it's like saying we're connected like many pages of minor literature. We have our own stories. We can read and hear one another's stories and build relationships, but we cannot become one another. Through this, we are connected. I bequeath myself to the dirt to grow from the grass I love. If you want me again, look for me under your boot soles. In Whitman's poem, he's actually referring to his death here and where to find him once he's gone. But in Paper Towns, it's more about entrusting yourself to the dirt and the relationships with others, being interconnected to the other blades of grass that you love, and know that you can find people with those that they love. There's an extreme sense of interconnectedness between people with this symbol. The third symbol in this novel is the vessel. This represents a combination of individuality and interconnectedness. This symbolises both ideas because each person is their own vessel. Once they begin to crack, you get this sense of interconnectedness by being able to see inside each other. If the vessel doesn't crack, though, they stay in their individuality. But once the vessel cracks, the light can get in, the light can get out. Once a person's facade or outside shell has cracked, you can get to know them and see who they are on the inside. When you have a group of people, or vessels, that are all cracked open, they can see out and see in. There's this idea that you'll truly see who that person is and become interconnected with them once they have cracks in their vessel. It's a different experience if someone's vessel never cracks, though. The quote, "Margot's beauty was a kind of sealed vessel of perfection, uncracked and uncrackable," helps to show us how individual Margot really was. Throughout the novel, there's a really strong sense of Margot being an individual that separates herself from the world. No one really knows her because she never lets people see her faults, not until the very end of the novel. She has an uncracked facade, meaning that no one could see inside. No one knew the real Margot, just whichever version she chose to show them. This is how the vessel can represent individuality. So I hope this has helped you understand how individuality and interconnectedness in paper towns is shown through these three symbols. How the strings shows individuality, the grass shows interconnectedness, and the vessel shows a mixture of both.